In just a few seconds, you'll discover something strange about your own brain. Did you get it right? If not, your focus span is very short. If you did, congratulations, you're already above average. That was your brain for just 18 seconds. For most people, this happens over and over, for hours, every single day. This is the brain fog era. Don't worry, I found something that finally makes it stop. This changed everything for me. Before telling you more about it, let me tell you this. In 1999, something strange started happening. For decades, human intelligence had been rising. Each generation was scoring higher on IQ tests than the one before. Psychologists called it the Flynn effect, a steady, global increase in measured intelligence across the 20th century. But around the turn of the millennium, that trend quietly reversed.
How many of you feel as though somehow things are spiraling out of control? You have a vague sense that things are getting weirder and weirder. You're right, they are.
In Norway, IQ scores started to decline. Then it happened in Denmark, then Finland, France, the UK, even the United States. Across developed nations, intelligence test scores were no longer climbing, they were falling.
Around the world, our young people are, I shouldn't quite say getting stupider, but they're not learning as much as they would have a few years before. I wonder why.
Researchers were puzzled. Was it genetics? No, human DNA doesn't change that quickly. Something in the environment was affecting how our brains function. But here's where it gets even more disturbing.
One of the first people to see that this wasn't going to happen was Tristan. First, when he was working at Google and he gave this internal talk, this internal PowerPoint talk about, hey, you know, we're sucking up everybody's attention around the world. And what's going to happen if no one has any more attention to do anything?
In 2004, researchers found that the average attention span had dropped to just 2 minutes and 30 seconds. By 2012, it was 75 seconds. By 2023, new data from multiple labs showed that people switch attention between apps, tabs, and tasks roughly every 47 seconds or less. And most don't return to the original task at all. It's like the mind no longer holds a stable thread. It hops, resets, forgets. Compare that to someone reading a novel in 1970 or a scientist writing papers without interruption in the 1980s. We're not just less focused, we're operating on a different cognitive rhythm altogether. Some experts call it cognitive drift. Others see it as the beginning of a deeper neurological shift. What's clear is that something's changed in how we think, remember, and decide. And it didn't happen gradually, it happened fast. What caused it? That's where it gets complicated. It wasn't just one thing, but a perfect storm. And the deeper you go, the more you realize this isn't just a personal problem, it's the new default. The part of your brain responsible for attention, decision-making, and self-control is called the prefrontal cortex. It's the CEO of your mind, the place where willpower, logic, and focus come together. But here's the problem. This part of your brain tires quickly, and when it's overwhelmed, everything else falls apart.
People sometimes think of multitasking as working on two things at the same time, and that's impossible for human beings. To literally work on two things at the same time. You can walk and chew gum, but this is an unconscious kind of process. But what it really refers to is switching very rapidly between different tasks, between different contexts.
Each time you switch from one task to another, even something as small as checking a notification, your brain burns a small amount of energy. Not much at first, but over time it builds up. Psychologists call this attention residue. Your brain doesn't fully reset when switching tasks. It keeps fragments of the last thing in the background and it slows down everything you do after. In fact, researchers found that multitasking can temporarily reduce your IQ by up to 15 points, the same as being awake for 24 hours straight. That's because the brain isn't built to jump constantly. It's built to focus, finish, and rest. But in today's world, we rarely do that. This also affects dopamine, the chemical that helps you stay motivated. When it's triggered too often by alerts, scrolling and digital noise, the brain adapts. The reward circuits start to dull. What once gave you clarity now feels like static, and motivation fades.
There's even a mechanism in our mind called the novelty bias, by which our mind rewards us with a hit of dopamine. The same one that we get when we make love. We get that same stimulation when we check Facebook. We get this dopamine coursing through our mind, and so we not only crave distraction, but our mind rewards us for seeking out and finding distraction in the first place.
So when you feel tired after doing nothing or struggle to finish something simple, it's not laziness, it's your brain saying, I can't reset anymore. Before we go further, I want to tell you something personal. A few weeks ago, I was having one of those days. Tired, mental fog, bouncing from tab to tab without finishing anything. I opened my inbox, scrolled through a mess of unread emails, and right in the middle of it was one from a brand called Magic Mind. They said, we'd love for you to test our focus shots before sponsoring the channel. Totally up to you, no pressure at all. At that moment, I was so deep in brain fog that I almost skipped over it. But I didn't. I replied. Not long after I received the samples and started testing all 3 formulas. I took them for 6 days, leaving a full day between each one so I could really see if it works for me or not. I began with Free, which has no caffeine at all, then I tried Original with a small amount of green tea, and finally Max, the strongest option with more caffeine for high focus days. Honestly, I noticed the difference almost immediately. Max gave me tunnel vision when I had too much on my plate. Original felt smooth and steady. But the one I kept coming back to was Free. No caffeine, yet somehow more clarity than coffee ever gave me. Calm focus, no jitters, no crash. After testing it myself, I'm happy to say that I'm partnered with them and they're now sponsoring this video. Plus, they gave us their biggest offers up to date. The link in the description or the QR code on screen gets you 60% off on your subscription, which is insane. This offer won't be around for long, so I'd really grab it now. I can't recommend it enough if you have a lot of stuff to get done. They also have a 100% money back guarantee. If you don't like it, they refund 100% no questions asked, which basically means you're trying for free and you can cancel the subscription anytime. Check it out while it lasts. That made a huge difference for me. Now, let's continue. The apps you use, the notifications you get, the layout of your screen, none of it is random. It's designed, tested, optimized, but not for your focus, your attention. Red is used for alerts because it creates urgency. Intermittent vibrations are modeled after casino slot machines. Infinite scroll is engineered to keep you searching even when you don't know what for. In 2017, former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris revealed that entire teams of engineers work to make apps more addictive. He called it the race to the bottom of the brainstem, the part of the brain responsible for impulses, habits, and survival. That's what they target, not your intellect, not your values, just your most automatic responses.
But what this misses is that your telephone in the 1970s didn't have 1,000 engineers on the other side of the telephone who were redesigning it to work with other telephones and then updating the way your telephone worked every day to be more and more persuasive. That was not true in the 1970s.
People often think they're choosing what to focus on, but in most cases, it's the platform choosing for them. What appears first, what moves, what glows, what interrupts. In psychology, this is called stimulus hijacking. Your brain is hardwired to notice movement, contrast, and novelty. And digital platforms use that against you thousands of times per day. Studies show that the average smartphone user receives between 65 and 150 notifications per day. That's one every 6 to 15 minutes during waking hours, and every single one pulls your brain away from deep work, forcing it into reset mode. So if you feel constantly distracted, overwhelmed, scattered, it's not a weakness, it's a design choice. And you're not the customer, you're the product.
So I just argued before that the ability to focus intensely, to produce things that are rare and valuable, to hone skills that the marketplace values, that this is what's going to matter in our economy. But right before that, I argued that social media tools are designed to be addictive. The actual desired use case of these tools is that you fragment your attention as much as possible throughout your waking hours. That's how these tools are designed to use.
If distraction was just about red icons and push notifications, it would be easy to fix. But the truth is much deeper. The systems you use daily are designed with invisible triggers, tiny psychological hooks that keep your brain activated. Take scrolling. It used to have an end, a page, a stop. Now it doesn't. Infinite Scroll was created to remove friction.
I'm the hapless human being that invented Infinite Scroll. I was blind to the incentives, and this is before social media really had started going. I was blind to how it was going to get picked up and used not for people, but against people. And this was actually a huge lesson for me, that me sitting here optimizing an interface for one individual is sort of like, that was morally good. But being blind to how it was going to be used.
Studies show that when tasks don't have a clear ending, the brain stays in a search loop, constantly scanning for novelty. This triggers low, steady dopamine and keeps you locked in. Then there's the intermittent feedback, the random, delayed way likes, messages or views appear. It's the same mechanism used in slot machines. The unpredictability makes the reward more addictive. That's why apps often withhold likes for a few minutes so you see them in a satisfying wave, not all at once. Your brain gets a hit of dopamine not from the content, but from the pattern. Even the smallest visual details are intentional. Think about the 3 animated dots you see when someone is typing a reply. That's not a technical necessity, it's a psychological tool. It keeps you waiting, hoping, anticipating. That moment of uncertainty triggers a dopamine loop. What will they say? When will it come? You're locked in again, not by force, but by design. There's also micro animation, subtle visual effects when you tap, swipe, or refresh. These aren't just aesthetic. They create a sense of control and fluidity that feels good, like flipping through real objects. But it's an illusion. You're not in control. You're being guided through a sequence that's already been optimized, tested, and calibrated for maximum engagement.
It's a technique that I've learned in my years in the advertising and gaming space. It's called the hook. The hook is an experience designed to connect the user's problem to the company's product with enough frequency to form a habit. Now, these hooks start with a trigger. It can be some piece of information like play this or click here. Internal triggers are things that tell us what to do next, but where the information for what to do is stored as a memory inside the user's head.
The more you use it, the more your brain adapts to it, and slowly, without realizing, your default mental state becomes fragmented. You crave stimulation but can't tolerate depth. You seek novelty but lose clarity. And no one warned you, because the systems were designed not to feel invasive, they were designed to feel natural. All of these things, from constant switching to overstimulation and broken focus, lead to one outcome: brain fog. And the truth is, almost everyone is dealing with it. Some feel it all day, others only notice it when it's too late. When motivation is gone, when memory is weaker, when work feels heavier than it should. You wake up, you're not tired, but you're not clear either. You check your phone, a few messages, a news alert, a notification you didn't ask for, and within minutes your brain feels like it's already full, but of nothing useful. That's what brain fog is, not a disease, not a mental illness, just a quiet, daily erosion of your mental sharpness. It shows up in small ways. You reread the same sentence 3 times, you open a tab and forget why. You can't start the thing you know you need to do. And even when you start, you can't stay with it. It's not fatigue, you're not sleepy, you just feel dulled, like your thoughts are moving through syrup. What makes brain fog dangerous is that it doesn't feel like a problem, it feels like you. And the more it lasts, the more you adapt to it. Low clarity becomes the new normal.
You cannot find the right words. You can't quite grasp what is going on, so your cognition is down. You cannot multitask, and literally you feel you're in a fog. Your head feels heavy. You can't really process information. And it happens to the best of us. So it happens to people from all walks of life, all ethnic groups, and unfortunately in many different conditions.
And all ages and all athletic abilities and all stages of health. That's what's so bizarre to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And unfortunately, many of our colleagues don't pay too much attention, if any at all.
This state affects your memory, attention, and emotional control. You get more irritable, you procrastinate more, you stop finishing things, and you blame yourself. But it's not just you. Modern environments like digital overload, poor sleep, low-quality food, and shallow multitasking all contribute to cognitive overload. The human brain is powerful, but it wasn't built for constant interruption and fragmented stimulation. The good news is that brain fog isn't permanent. But to fix it, you first have to recognize it and stop pretending it's normal. Another thing that most people don't even know they're struggling with is silent ADHD. There's a reason so many people feel scattered, restless, impulsive, or constantly distracted. For some, it's not just digital overload, it's something deeper, something they've lived with their whole life but never named. By the way, this is not medical advice or a diagnosis, just a personal perspective. I've been dealing with these things too, and I'm simply sharing what I've learned and what helped me make sense of it all. Adult ADHD is often missed, especially in high-functioning people. The ones who get things done, but at a cost. The ones who seem productive, but secretly feel chaotic inside. Most don't even realize it. They don't bounce off the walls. They're not hyperactive, but their minds never stop. They lose things, miss details, interrupt, struggle with tasks that should be simple, and they think it's their fault. This is the silent ADHD, the type that hides behind overcompensating, behind burnout, behind anxiety. Many people only discover it when someone close to them is diagnosed. That's exactly what happened to Mel Robbins.
I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until late in life. In fact, I was 47 years old. I found out, as most adult women do, during the process of our son Oakley, who was in elementary school. He was getting assessed for learning disabilities. When we got his results back, I was like, oh my God, that sounds a lot like me. For most of my life, not knowing that I had dyslexia, dysgraphia, ADHD, I struggled with anxiety. I was extremely self-critical. I felt like something was wrong with me. Like I didn't understand why everybody else could sit still and focus and remember things. I couldn't understand why it was so hard for me to be organized or on time or be able to just direct my damn brain when I needed to get something done.
ADHD in adults isn't just about attention, it's about emotional regulation, time blindness, motivation roller coasters. It's the inability to filter out noise and the craving for stimulation that sometimes looks like laziness when it's really mental exhaustion. And the modern world only makes it worse. Notifications, multitasking, scrolling, fast-switching content all amplify the core struggles of ADHD. The brain already has trouble focusing and filtering. Now it's forced to swim through chaos.
You've got an amazing brain. You've got a Ferrari engine for a brain. Your brain is one amazing, powerful engine. But you've got a problem. You've got bicycle brakes. You can't stop when you need to. And that's going to get you into trouble. You're going to crash and burn.
The truth is, many people have lived decades thinking they're just disorganized, lazy, or undisciplined, when in fact, they've been navigating life with an unrecognized condition. One that's manageable, but only if you know it's there. And once you know, you can begin to build an environment that works with your brain, not against it. All these things can be changed. It starts with creating the right environment for your brain to work the way it's meant to. That means more than removing distractions. It means rebuilding the foundation, the inputs that fuel your thoughts, your energy, your focus. And one of the most powerful, often ignored inputs is what you eat. Your brain doesn't just need silence or discipline, it needs fuel, real, clean, stable fuel.
So the first thing I think that's highly involved in this reduction in mental clarity, or brain fog as people like to call it, is what's called the postprandial glucose response. So that means blood glucose levels going up after a meal. And what happens is this: if you have a really high postprandial glucose response, you're eating a high glycemic index food, something that's definitely like a refined carbohydrate, for example, that'll really smash you. Mm-hmm. You're going to get this really sharp peak in glucose and then like a drop, or a sugar crash as people like to call it.
Most people underestimate how much diet affects the brain, but there's growing evidence that what you eat shapes how well you focus, how quickly you think, and how long you can stay mentally clear. If your breakfast spikes your blood sugar, your focus crashes by 11 a.m. If your lunch is loaded with processed oils, your brain fog lasts all afternoon. If you skip nutrients, your neurotransmitters don't function. The result is a brain that feels heavy, slow, and unmotivated.
But if you are eating foods containing refined carbohydrates 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, which is not at all unusual, this process never has a chance to let up. So what you've got is uncontrolled chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. Very dangerous for the brain.
But food is just one layer. Your brain also needs light. Morning sunlight helps regulate your circadian rhythm, which controls alertness and sleep cycles. It needs movement. Even short walks can increase blood flow to the brain and improve mood. It needs rest. Deep sleep is when the brain clears toxins and resets attention. Your digital environment matters too. Constant pings, pop-ups, and fast-switching content train your mind to seek novelty instead of depth. And the more you scroll, the harder it gets to focus. To rebuild mental clarity, start small. Try cutting ultra-processed foods for a week. Step outside in the morning. Limit screen use for the first hour of your day. Eat meals with protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Give your brain what it actually runs on.
We want you eating more brain nutrients and focused on that instead of calorie counting. We're a set of food categories that have the most of these nutrients that are correlated with brain health. Things that you read about, the long-chain omega-3 fats and B12, vitamin B9, folate, magnesium.
This is not about perfection. It's about creating a system around you that supports your brain instead of attacking it. Because focus doesn't come from force, it comes from conditions. I hope this video gave you some clarity, or at least made you reflect on how your mind is being shaped every day. If it helped, consider sharing it with someone who might need it too. And if you've been struggling with focus or brain fog like I was, don't forget to check out Magic Mind. It genuinely made a difference for me. You'll find the link and the QR code below. Thanks for watching, and take care of your mind. Is the only one you've got.